please.
Make something up. I can do that. Just make something up.
Yeah.
Well, we're joined by the brains. I guess Bella's the beauty now. You took the beauty away from me. I guess I can be brawn or beer gut.
No, you have one. You have the Rogue 1,000-pound club, so you're a perfect candidate for brawn.
Brawn. Okay. So we are joined by Bella Barton once again. Bella, tell us a little bit about yourself. By unmuting yourself first. Okay. Well, I'll talk, and then whenever you can just. Oh, what? Still muted. So Bella
There we go.
Are you back on?
Yeah, we're back on now. My computer said we're not doing this today.
Bella, who I guess right now you're in Wyoming?
I'm in South Dakota. It's pretty much
South Dakota. It's like the same thing.
Yeah.
It's like the same thing. Anyways, you're pretty. I mean, I would consider you a Texas girl, right?
Yeah, I think I was born to be a Texan, and I adopted that very young. I started wearing cowboy boots when I was like 5 years old. I don't know why, but I did. So I think I was born to be a Texan. It works out.
And then you graduated went to school, I believe, sports marketing at Texas A&M?
Yes, I did. It was sports management, and then I focused on all the marketing things once I was in grad school. I was in school for far too long to do it now.
So do you have an MBA or did you get Gotcha. And then for a while there, right after college, you worked for, what was it? The candle company, the scented sports candles. Yeah.
It's the coolest thing ever. It's a candle company for men. You're welcome.
Yeah. It smelled like locker rooms. It was great.
But like the good part of the locker room, like you go to someone's locker room and it costs, a couple $100 million to create, and it's beautiful and it smells like leather. That's what that smelled like.
Yeah. And then you started, I guess you're in the Austin area. You started coaching at a CrossFit gym there, a couple CrossFit gym affiliates there.
Yep.
And then you kind of found your calling with doing MC work at CrossFit events, not just CrossFit events, but other events as well.
Doing all that, I always tell people I got bullied into doing CrossFit, and then I essentially got bullied into doing MCing too. So if you want me to do anything, just bully me, and it'll probably work out well. I don't know.
Well, last week she told us that we had permission to tackle her, and we declined her invite to punch her in the face, but she is a glutton for punishment, and bullying is also welcomed.
I guess so.
You're so welcome.
You know what's going to happen? Like the I don't know, the 100 or 15, I don't know how many people watched the last show. Those 2,000 people that watched that show and heard you say, yeah, I've never been tackled. Next time you're going to be on like some competition floor, perhaps in Germany, and someone's just going to flat out just tackle you.
Probably. And honestly, I think that'd be so funny. I think it'd be hilarious because nobody would know what's going on except for me and that person. And it'd be a really special moment for us where everyone else didn't understand. But I knew that they saw me for who I am, and it worked out well.
Well, I'm trying to think. Who else? What am I missing about you, Bella? I mean, I feel like we all know you, but do we truly know you?
Oh, do you truly know me? Probably. If you call me Bella, you probably know me. The people that call me Miss Bella, I don't think they know me. So it works out.
Oh,
We're
okay.
good.
And this, I think I got this right. This year, you're doing like 26 events.
28 now. I added 2 more to the calendar. But yeah, 28.
From last week.
Events.
Yeah, I'm going back to New Zealand. So I didn't have that one on my kind of tally. And now I get to go back to New Zealand. So that'll be fun.
Of those 28, is it 3 or 4 times to Oceania?
So it'll be 2 to New Zealand and then 2 to Australia. So 4 times. It's not so bad.
Yeah, you might be the only person I know who travels more internationally for fitness competitions than I do.
I mean, we like are on the same, but I go the other way, and then you go. We need to meet in the middle somewhere.
We do that every once in a while.
Yeah, we met. That worked.
Yeah.
What did we do? We did pit team throwdown.
True, Michigan. We really are meeting in the middle here with Michigan.
Madrid. We did Madrid.
Madrid was good.
And then were those the only ones that we did until we were in Rogue?
I think so. I missed you.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh, Masters Fitness.
oh yeah, fitness. That was a wonderful surprise. Pat, he shows up and he goes, "Yeah, I'm here." For what? He goes, "To work." What do you mean to work? I've been here for 2 days. Where have you been? What are you doing?
Well,
Did you think he was there to compete?
No, I don't know, because it's Brian. He showed
Yeah.
just be friends. I don't know.
Well, it was at Power Monkey Camp, so I had to kind of
Yeah, of course.
blend those things in together. And now we have we're diverging again. We're going in different parts of the world. This weekend I'm going to Desert City Classic. We're going to take a look at that, and Bella is going to the German Throwdown. So we're going to just briefly kind of look at those competitions that are coming this weekend. And then but most of the show we're going to spend talking about the FitFest teams that were announced 2 days ago now, I believe. So we'll get to that in a few minutes. But how many times have you been to German Throwdown previously?
0, but I lived in Germany growing up. And so this is really fun for me because I actually haven't been back since I was, I think, 9 or 10. This was my first time going back. My dad is so pumped. I told him I was going. He goes, "Oh my goodness, this is so good. This is so exciting." So if anybody's excited, my dad's excited, but I'm excited too. So it'll be great. I leave. So it's next week. I'll actually go to New Jersey for Meadowlands, and then I'll go to Germany next Tuesday or Wednesday for the event.
Okay, so you'll be in New Jersey, I'll be in Phoenix, and then you'll be in Germany, and I'll be here in Charlotte for Charlotte Classic. Those are the next 2 weeks. Let's look at the German Throwdown. I think we have the roster of athletes. I think there's a few decent athletes competing there.
Yes.
What city is it in?
It's in Mainz.
Yeah, Mainz.
So I would say things that I'm looking forward to mostly. I mean, it's a very fun roster of athletes coming, but in terms of who we're watching and where we're watching, it's the elite men's field versus the women's field for sure.
What do you mean?
So in terms of what the athletes, I would say, have done for me lately, we have more semifinalists, more games athletes on the men's side, with Adrian Mundweiler being kind of at the top of that list. And then we also have Felix Rader and Jeremy Reinders. And then for the women, it's mostly just semifinalists, which is great. I mean, still a phenomenal competition, especially for them. It's still kind of anybody's game. But for the men's field, I would say definitely where the attraction is going to be watching on the live stream.
Yeah, and I will actually next week, you'll take some interest in this, I'm sure, Bella, but next week I'm going to release the top 200 men in the world that I've been kind of working with. And I mean, there are certainly things that will happen over the next couple months that will influence that. And I'll probably do an updated one before the Open starts. But there are some guys on this list that are certainly in that top 200. Connor Pennington, who you didn't mention, is in there competing. He's kind of an up and comer. He was in Madrid. We saw him there. Yep. Tobias Fox is kind of a guy that I'm interested in. Sven Jeans, who I think was also in Madrid.
Yep.
Mats Chibis. So there's some decent athletes there on the men's side for sure. And then on the women's side, there's actually a couple. I mean, Aoife Burke, she was in at Dubai last year. Antea Longo, one of the better athletes out of Italy, I think.
Sabrina Rohag, Franzi Hover, Katharina. I mean, there's a lot of known athletes, very talented semifinalists.
Yeah, Nicole here.
Yep.
Actually, Verena, I can't remember, Evelyn Ramers. I met her up in Oslo when I was there. She was training with them last year. She's actually going to be, they made an announcement that she's going to be competing on the Team Prestranda this year. I think they're making one change to their roster and they're adding her. So she's going to move over. I don't know if she's going to train in Norway and go over there and train, but she's going to be with some of those athletes from Sweden.
Yeah.
And Franziska Hoger, those are probably the two fittest women in Germany. And she was at Finland at the Tour in Tuomiopäivä that I did in August. And so that she probably will compete as an individual this year also. So these are the types of athletes that can potentially have some impact on, that kind of rankings. They'll do the women's probably the week after that. But there's plenty of competitions that are always happening in CrossFit. And both Bella and I kind of have this goal, I guess, to like bridge the gap between the North American CrossFit and European CrossFit specifically. It is, it's challenging to keep up with both of them. And so kind of we're hoping that we can help you guys start to learn some of these names if you are interested in that kind of the next up and coming or the kind of second tier of semifinal athletes over in Europe. And a lot of them are competing at German Throwdown.
Brian, would you say that last year the European semifinal was probably one of the toughest for individual athletes?
Yeah, I think so. In the competition wise,
Yes.
I think for women, it was probably at the cut line was probably the most competitive. I would say for the men, it was probably North America East was maybe the most competitive at the cut line. But yeah, and as I'm going through these lists, like there are quite a few, European women that I think if they were competing in North America could be have a better chance of getting one of the last two spots. So, Dave Castro has hinted that there are going to be some more announcements coming out, I think tomorrow, with regards to CrossFit season. We don't know necessarily what those will be, but my assumption is that it will not be with regards to qualifying spots to the games because they'll still need to update the worldwide ranking and strength of field allocations, and then that will be dependent upon open and quarterfinals, which he's mentioned there will be some changes too. So maybe we'll see some stuff more open and quarterfinals related, and then that plus whatever changes that Dave Eubanks may or may not be making to the strength of field allocations can still impact that conversation for semifinals this season.
Yeah. I mean, at a minimum, I'm hoping we get the dates of when the open is, when quarterfinals are going to be, and then we're probably not going to get the details on semifinals or regionals or whatever that's going to look like, but I'm hopeful at least we have the bare bones of what the season will be. Not necessarily for us, but for these athletes that are trying to figure out what the heck they're doing, giving them, hey, this is going to be the direction. This is what you need to do. Because they're not peaking for the open. They're not peaking for quarters either. But it matters which, off-season events you're going to go to when the season starts. And how are you going to make money during the season if you don't know when it's actually going to be? Because I am definitely one of those things that I am always telling when I'm talking to athletes what they should do is doing more off-season and continue to compete, because that's where you make all the money. If you want to be a professional CrossFitter, go compete all the time, as many times as you can, because you'll make the money. You'll make more money doing that than only going to the games. So
this is happening in Europe and the Middle East. Last weekend in the Basque region of Spain, Adrian Moonweiler took a second place at a competition there to Luka Jukic.
Yep.
Adrian, as you mentioned, is on the roster for German Throwdown. So he's kind of and last year he actually passed on semifinals in the games and has just been competing in, European local events, making more small paychecks than, chasing potentially one massive paycheck if you have a, perfect run at the games like he did in 2019. Yep. And Luka Jukic actually is his last competition for now in Europe, and he's heading to the Middle East, which he did this last year. And he's basically going to live I think he's going to use somewhere in the UAE as a base and just travel to all these competitions in the Middle East for the next several months. Yeah. And again, pick up a variety of different paychecks. I don't know exactly how much money he made last year, but I'm led to believe that it's comparable to finishing in the top 15 at the CrossFit Games, or maybe even the top 10 when you add all those things together.
I believe it's somewhere around 40,000 euros. I caught up with him when we were in Marbella in October, and we were kind of just chatting about what his season looks like, because him and his brother kind of have different approaches. They're ranked differently right now, but what that will look like next year, who knows? But with Luka, he's done exactly what we're talking about, going to all these off seasons, and he's raking it in. And I mean, it's not that the competition isn't there. People are showing up, as you just said. Adrian's there, and Adrian also is supposed to be at Madrid. He didn't compete at Madrid, which is totally fine, because we'll see him. We saw him last week. We'll see him again next weekend in Germany. So he's still there, and they're still competing. But there's two kind of different athletes. There's the athletes that are going to these events, making the money, and just kind of seeing how their training can fit in. And then there's the athletes that wait for semifinals and go to the games. Then they'll go to Rogue, and then that's kind of their year.
And even if you think about like Luka Jukic, I don't know if he did the Rogue qualifier or not. He may have. I'm not sure if he did it because he's just competing, but He
Yeah.
doesn't go to Wodapalooza. He doesn't compete at Rogue. He does compete in Dubai, and we'll get to Dubai at some point, but it's going to be a tough competition. There's a lot of good men competing that I think are fairly like level and can go a lot of different directions. But you can like parallel that with someone like Ricky Garrard, and Ricky's competing at Rogue. He's competing at Down Under on a team. He's competing in Dubai. He's competing at Wodapalooza. And so he's going to like these big events, and quite a few of them in the off season. But he's one of the rare athletes that can go to those events and possibly win them, or at least walk away with a substantial paycheck. And we'll see that there will be other athletes who go to some of those same events and are finishing in the bottom third or bottom half of the field. And even though they're competing at the biggest events against the best athletes, they're not making money. So it's like, there's some, different approaches that people take. Maybe it's depending on their lifestyle, or if they need the money, or if they're wanting that to be a reward for the competition. But you could pursue something like Luka Jukic and Adrian Munweiler, and go just like several more small competitions where you have a better chance of winning some substantial prize money, especially when you add those things together. And or you can be one of these athletes that maybe is chasing like the breakthrough and wants to go, competition on your belt against some of the best in the world and see where you stack up.
Yeah, I mean, I think if we're going to talk about Ricky, I think he didn't have the year that he wanted to have. And so for him to do these off-season cons, it makes sense, because it wasn't ever that he wasn't fit enough to actually, be on the podium or make money in the sport. It was, yeah, guys, I accidentally did something I was supposed to do. And now he's kind of on the back end of that. He's showing everybody, hey, this is how fit I was. Look at how fit I am now. So I definitely think there's different ways to do it. I love that, we get to be a part of that. Truly, we get to see all these different levels of athletes throughout the season, especially being in Europe. I mean, some of the names that you see there, you're so pumped to see them doing well later on. You see them in semifinals, you see them moving through. It's great to watch. And it's good for the sport too, to be honest. Oh, there he is. What's up, Luca?
Yeah, this was at Basque CrossFit. I'm not entirely sure how to pronounce that last word over there, but it's got some consonants and some vowels in it.
It's a Spanish word.
It's a Basque word, and we know from Madrid, we had a couple athletes from the Basque region that were competing there, and they definitely have some. It's a distinct accent.
Yes, they always say that just because you speak Spanish doesn't mean you're going to understand Basque.
That's right.
Bye, guys.
So that'll be next weekend, German Throwdown. Bella will be out there. And I think probably the week after that, Bella, we're going to see if we can have you back on, give us some insights from how it went. And also that week I'm going to put out the women's top 200 in the world. I think I'm going to have John Young on for the men, but maybe have you on for the women. So start doing your homework.
I got it. I appreciate that, Luca. I also think I wish that we had the workouts for German Throwdown. We're releasing them, I think, at the end of this week. So there's not a lot to be talked about yet, but we can, offline chat about those once they come out, see what we're thinking.
Definitely. And speaking of
one of the sponsors is a Super 8 motel. So, we could talk about that.
They're using the crash pads instead of crash pads for the rope climbs. They're using the Super 8 motel
mattresses. Yeah. Yeah.
Sounds scratchy.
Is that actually an incentive not to fall?
Yeah. So you just talked about a couple competitions. Well, Brian, do you want to? Yeah, let's go ahead and start. Let's talk about the Desert City, and because that's where you're going to be at this weekend, and then we'll get right into FitFest. So Desert City taking place at the University of Arizona State, so which will be pretty unique. It being on a college campus of that prestige.
Yep, and they did put out like maps of floors and parking and whatever. There's three competition floors there. So this is including the pool. Yeah, the pool, right? Swimming event for every division. Yep. So this competition, got in touch with Taylor Self, I don't know, 6 months ago. The guys over there, Ryan and Adam, they're pretty well organized and forward thinking, and they had kind of liked some of Taylor's programming through SMTP. And so Taylor wanted to do it kind of collaboratively with me and JR Howell. So the three of us have been involved in the programming for this. it's not a clean breakdown, but Taylor did kind of the bulk of the work for the individual programming. JR did most of the stuff for the teams. I kind of served as oversight for both of those, and then worked a lot on the schedule of harmonizing what was going to be happening where, timings of transitioning equipment, making sure that everything was just going to flow on the logistics side of things. And they have a lot of divisions. I got some numbers from those guys today. It's a pretty impressive list. He said they got athletes from 22 different states, and also Mexico and Germany, which is kind of surprising and perfect since we were talking about the German Throwdown. He said they have they have 212 individual athletes, 67 teams of 3. So that's another 301 athletes. So there's like over 500 athletes competing there this weekend. So I think that's a pretty substantial thing. And I can understand where the logistics side of the programming might not seem as impressive, but it's always a good feat to try to do that and balance everything out. They have, he said that they don't have the best, like necessarily caliber of athletes there, but you can see a couple notable names there, guys that are in the top 200 list: Anandra Stearns, Chris Ibarra, and CJ Gerald. All 3 of those were actually on the podium at this competition last year. And then he also mentioned that Underdogs sends a bunch of athletes over there, some on teams, some to compete as individuals. And of course, they got a variety of different divisions as well. So these are just some of the elite. But the programming is pretty tough, I would say, for the elite division. So these athletes, like Brooklyn Sittner's pretty young; she's in her teens, I think. Alina Ward has got some experience. Kendall Gilmore with Underdogs there. But these will be, some of these women are going to be on the fringe of making the semifinal next year, depending on what that looks like, and we'll have a good chance to kind of test themselves in a pretty high level competition from a programming perspective this weekend.
It's very similar to Monster Games. That was in Missouri in the summer. I think the Desert City guys, they kind of work closely with Monster Games. So it's a very similar level of athletes competing, which is great. I mean, you don't have to be top dog and doing this event. It probably wouldn't make much sense. But if you're eager to kind of break into competition, this seems like a very good place to, get your feet wet and actually try competing against a decent field.
Yeah, you mentioned the Monster Games comp. Bria Poland right here, she competed at Monster Games in the elite division. So, and then Brian mentioned Brooklyn Sittner and Kendall Gilmore. These are teen athletes, so this is a kind of an opportunity for them to kind of just see where they stack up against some actual women. Kendall competed, I believe she was in, what division did she compete at God, what was that?
Iron Games?
The Iron Games, yeah. Was she in the RX?
Yeah, the one below elite.
Yeah. So
but it's great. The young athletes getting opportunity. These are competitions obviously out there on the West Coast, so they're relatively local for a lot of these. I'll be out there this weekend kind of representing all of the programming team. And I think I'm also going to try to just stream a couple of the events. I think the venue is pretty cool. I might stream a heat or two from the pool and then from both of the competition floors they have for some different divisions. There's a team of Underdogs Athletics right there. So should be pretty fun. Just meeting some new people, get to a different part of the country, and see how the programming plays out.
I also like this because it's definitely a low barrier to entry competition that, if you do it right, has positive benefits. I mean, if you think of a competition like Wodapalooza, where it's expensive to get there, you have to qualify, things like that, that is not the place where you're going to really be able to challenge yourself because there's so many other things going on. It's expensive to be there. A lot of times you have to skip out on work if you're an adult and you have to work during the week. But an event like this, it's a weekend. It's not that expensive for most people to get out there. So I definitely think it's one that athletes that are kind of looking to do more competitions would be looking at this year and then seeing how they could stack up for next year.
So that's kind of the short term for us. A couple competitions coming up. But there's going to be some big ones coming up in December, and 3 in particular are happening on the same weekend. And the one that we know the most about really at this point is the one we also know the least about which is FitFest. And what I mean by that is it's a brand new competition. It's a showcase style event, and there were this week on the same day, I think it was on Monday, they announced that there would be a draft for the teams, and these were the 3 team captains, Danielle, Brandon, Emma Lawson, and Ella Wunger. And then 3 or 4 hours later, they revealed the teams. The draft had been completed. And so we see 3 women and 3 men on each of the teams. And we had done just a little breakdown here. As you can see at the bottom, the average age of the team that Danielle selected, the number of times they've gone to the games cumulatively as individuals. Of course, BKG having 10 on his own, and Thuri Hagedottir with a decent number as well. Danielle's up to 5. Jason's got 3 in a row. Ariel's got us, and they're piling up. There's a lot of experience here.
Yeah.
There were 3 additional games experience. Those are all 3 Dallin Pepper as a teenager. He's a 3-time champion. And then a little fun stat at the bottom that we just kind of, based on the B.Friendly Stats database that Barkley Dale has created, we are able to just kind of pull the proficiency in a general term of each of these athletes. So there's no specific movements or anything like that, but they have 3 of these athletes on this team specialize in monostructural relative to weightlifting and gymnastics over their careers as competitors in the competitions that we have access to. 3 of them gymnastics, and none of them in weightlifting. That's not to say that they're not good weightlifters. We know Turi Hagedottir has done weightlifting competitions. Obviously, Jason's quite strong. BKG's super technical with his lifting. They can lift well, but in general, they show out best as a monostructural and gymnastics team more so than weightlifting. We can contrast it with the second team here, and we're just gonna kind of do an overview of the teams, and then we'll kind of give our big picture thoughts. So I know Bella's probably eager to weigh in.
There's so many thoughts.
A much younger team here, despite having Brent Fikowski on the team. Sorry, Brent. Just average age is less than 24. Well, the counter active to that is Lucy McGonigal, who's still a teenage athlete. Much less on the individual games experience, 13, 8 of those belonging to Brent himself. 17 total. That's 4 teenage years that get added in for Lawson and McGonigal, I believe. And then as far as MGW, 3 monostructural bias, 2 gymnastics, and 1 on the weightlifting side.
Who was it on the weightlifting side? Did you consider
Nick Matthew? Actually, he actually scores just as well on gymnastics as weightlifting.
Exactly.
But,
yeah.
He was one of 2 athletes that had that showed up with 2, and the other one was actually Jason Hopper.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. And then Team Wunger.
Yeah, Ella Wunger, probably the least well-known of the 3 athletes that were chosen to be the captains. Kind of like it, though. You had someone from the U.S., someone from Canada, someone from Europe as the team captain. So I really like that kind of spreading that way. And then you can see much closer in terms of age, 27. Individual games experience is relatively low, 13. Vellner carrying the majority of those for this team. They get a big boost in terms of appearances thanks to 5 team appearances from Kelsey Keel, 1 from Vellner, and maybe there's one other one, but I have it over here somewhere. Anyway,
I think Jack had a year as a teen competitor.
Yeah, I think that's right. Yeah. Yep. So 20 total. And then totally opposite than the other 3 teams, 4 of these athletes, which are Wunger, Keel, Gazan, and Farlow, score the best on weightlifting as compared to monostructural and gymnastics. Pat doing the gymnastics, and Yellow Hoste, of course, with the monostructural bias. So that was kind of the first look that we did just to kind of introduce you to these teams. And Bella, I'm sure you, like many other people, had some thoughts when you first saw this.
Definitely. Where do you want to start? Which team do you want to start with? Because we can go all day with these guys.
Let's go alphabetical.
Okay.
So we'll go back to Danielle's team.
Okay. So first things first with Danielle's team, she picked her friends, and I love that because it's really fun to do stuff with friends. That's definitely something that I love to see when athletes actually are friends with their competitors and want to do things together. I'm also calling this team the "What have you done for me lately?" 5 of them have gone to Rogue, which is awesome. So it shows you kind of just about where they are fitness-wise right now in the season. I'm excited for this team specifically because I do think I would say I don't know if I would say they're easily my favorite team out of the three, but if I'm going to pick a team that's going to do really well across the board, it's going to be this team.
Well, and you mentioned 5 of them went to Rogue, and if I'm not mistaken, cumulatively between the other 2 teams, 5 of them went to Rogue: Lawson and Fikowski, Kazan, Vellner, and Hosta.
Yes.
So they have, and obviously to qualify for Rogue, you need to do well close to Rogue. You have to either perform well enough at the games or in the queue. So yes, coming in, definitely I would say with the edge in terms of momentum and elite level performances this season. Wad Zombie, her friends are also very good. Definitely true. Also, I would just like to say that this picture of Danielle Brandon with that edit looks like it was taken straight out of the new Australian Gladiators promo.
It does.
I wish we had U.S. Gladiators. I would put her on there for sure.
You could take a couple of these guys. I think Dallin could be converted into a gladiator quite easily.
Do you guys remember, what was it, last year, April Fool's Day? BKG said he was on Lazy Town. He said, I'm quitting fitness. I'm doing Lazy Town. It was awesome.
All right, first thoughts on Team Brandon. Excellent. Let's check out Team Lawson.
Team Lawson. If I'm going to rank teams 1, 2, 3, Team Lawson they're easily my third. And it's not because I don't like them. I love them all so much. And I just think in terms of experience, okay, she probably didn't have the choice. I can almost guarantee she probably wanted to recruit Jack. You're probably right. I definitely do think they're a balanced team. I mean, you said it, between monostructural, gymnastics, and weightlifting. They're a fairly balanced team. But in terms of experience, cumulatively, they don't have a ton. Emma, she's a phenomenal athlete. She just came off of Rogue Invitational. She came third. I mean, she herself, very fit. Brent, also very fit. As a team, they're all very fit. But in terms of competing and you're going to put your best foot out there, I would still say Team Brandon has stronger horses that I would put in the race.
Yeah, and this is, like you said, it's just a lot less known about these athletes, and especially if you're not keeping up to date with what's going on in Europe. Jennifer Muir down there on the right side bottom there, she had a great performance at the semifinal this year. And certainly if you watched the Berlin semifinal, you would have seen some great stuff from her. And she was flirting with potentially taking one of those last spots for most of the weekend. Lucy McGonigal, as we said, teenage athlete. She's got the skills to compete for sure. The weightlifting, we'll see if there ends up being some upper end percentage cycling of barbell that could be a challenge for her. But Emma and Jen are pretty strong, and that's the thing we don't know, is we don't really know the format of how this competition is going to be. Will you be able to kind of pick and choose who goes where? Will everyone be forced to do certain things? And so there's a huge element of that, which if it is a little bit more of the old invitational style where you can kind of insert athletes here and there for some of the workouts, you could actually play into some of the diverse skill sets that this team has. And then Enrico Zanoni there on the top, he made the games a couple years ago through the lowlands. And, he just a couple of weeks ago, he had competed at a competition in Italy. It was there's like mostly Italian athletes competing there, but seems to be far and away the best Italian athlete. And it's just a matter of whether he's good enough to make it in a very difficult semifinal that Europe has. But, world-class, capable athlete. And I think pretty much everyone listening to this knows who Nick Matthew is at this point. And he is a home run hitter, much like Brent Fikowski. So there's some potential for these guys if the competition trends towards what can you do for me individually, and you can plug and play. Even though they might look the weakest on paper, they could kind of sneak in some good performances.
I mean, I'm hoping it's a choose your character and then you send your teammate out there. And I hope, it'd be awesome if we didn't know what was going on and they had to choose an athlete just based on, okay, it's going to be something heavy. Pick a character. It's going to be
very similar to like what grid used to be.
Yes. And I think, to be honest, as the sport's growing, I do think that we're going to see, events trending towards this way again, because it's so spectator friendly, or I'm hoping it is, with the little that we know about FitFest, it sounds that it's going to be very spectator friendly. And we talked about this last week with Rogue. Let's bring people in that don't know anything about the sport and let's show them what the sport can be and what it looks like. Nothing says, hey, let me show you CrossFit than all of these athletes put together,
this setup kind of reminds me of when Dave went on and he mentioned something about like camps versus camps. This is very similar. I mean, you know, you have certain athletes that are tied to certain agencies. I mean, but basically it comes down to almost like the grid / invitational type of CrossFit Invitational when they did the countries, kind of that format where it's, you know, that's what I'm hoping it becomes. But it looks like FitFest is kind of listening to that and actually putting that on the competition floor. And I will point out that FitFest is a sanctioned or a CrossFit partnered event. So obviously CrossFit has agreed to be a part of this in some way or somehow, and maybe they're taking notes. And this could be something similar to how CrossFit allowed some of these other outside organizations to throw events on their behalf. You know, the age group, you know, games, as well as the adaptive divisions. Maybe this is something where, you know, this organization can throw some of these invitational type team events to promote CrossFit itself. So,
I mean, if we're looking at it, you know, I think Strength and Depth, that organization within the UK hosts, you know, more CrossFit events in a year than any other singular organization that I know of within the sport, which is awesome. And I know they're involved, and I believe they have a community competition going on
yes.
at FitFest, which makes sense that it would be CrossFit licensed because they already have that really solid relationship with CrossFit based on all of the events that they do. And it kind of ties it back into how strong CrossFit is and how much it's building and growing in Europe, specifically in the UK, which is super cool because that's where this is.
Yeah.
Yeah, Strength and Depth, they do, I think, you know, like I said, about a half a dozen throwdown events in Norway and Sweden do about that many. And then also, you know, Turf Games does quite a few as well. Those are some of the kind of, in terms of number of events per year that I know, put on quite a few shows. But Strength and Depth and that crew over there is very experienced. And like Bella said, this is the elite athlete showcase that's part of a massive event that's going on there. They have the British Indoor Rowing Championships. They have the England Weightlifting Championships. They do have several community events, and the athletes competing here will be doing some things for people on site there, meet and greets, sort of things. I'm not entirely sure of the details, but there'll be some involved in some things that aren't on the competition floor as well. So if you're in the UK or nearby Birmingham on the 8th to 10th and have nothing else going on, this could be a really you know, positive experience if you can make it out there. We're actually hoping to send someone on behalf of B.Friendly Fitness there, so we're trying to work on that. Patrick and I will both be in Dubai, but we want to hopefully have someone there to kind of keep you guys up to date with what's happening. There's a look at some of the other things that are going on. As you mentioned, SID is involved, ATHX games are involved. So this is a big collaborative effort that's that the CrossFit athletes are a part of.
I like the inclusion of the British Indoor Rowing Championships in that. I really do. I think that's pretty cool. And this could be an opportunity where maybe you grab a couple of those outlets. I mean, I think athletes, I think of someone like Dallin and be like, hey, let's see how you could, you know, just try it out.
Yeah, I mean, that would be so cool to have like Hopper
crossover
and host, you know, could go up against some of those guys and get their ass kicked.
Have y'all ever done one of those like learn to row seminars at an event? You feel so incompetent. Like you think you can row until someone who actually knows how to row is teaching you, and then you do not know how to row anymore.
Well, I'm trying to think, Brian, I think you were at that. Was it Strength and Depth that they actually had rowing, on the water rowing? Were you at that one? Yeah. And they actually brought in like the like Olympic champion from London to kind of like give a seminar and classes on that.
Cam Nichols was kind of in the leader of that, but he had basically the support of the rowing community in the UK that all kind of came together to help put that event on as part of Strength in Depth competition that year. Still one of the coolest individual events that I've been able to be a part of in all of the traveling and stuff that I've done. And so what is that? Lastly brings us to Team Wunger.
This team's got a lot going on. Got a lot going on. I say it. Pat, I think he's probably, you know, crazy confident coming off of Rogue. I would be too. He also has a ton of money coming off of Rogue. So maybe he's got some views or something cool. Something crazy.
But he also has a child too, so that money's slowly going to be that's money. That money's going to disappear quick.
True, but
Another
everybody
child on
needs
the
a
way.
little treat. Treat yourself. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh yeah, gotcha.
Yeah. So if we're thinking about it, Pat, phenomenal. Yele, also phenomenal performance at Rogue. Alex, crazy performance at Rogue. And that leaves Jack, Kelsey, and Ella. So Ella, at least I haven't seen her in competition since the games. Probably, going to the games, I think she came in 34th. So still competing at the games as an individual, a feat in its own. Same thing with Jack. Jack was kind of like around that below 30th mark. I want to say he didn't make the second cut, but he made it through the first one. And then it comes to Kelsey, and it's crazy to think if there's any sort of weak link on a team that's this caliber. But I would say in terms of most things, it would be Kelsey. Yes, she is strong, but if you were looking at the Wodapalooza qualifier, I don't know how fit she is right now.
Yeah, and she's I think she's going to give a go at individual this season.
Yes.
So it'd be great to get to see her in competition. And like you said, there's some stuff that she's phenomenal at. There's definitely some stuff that she's working on. And I'm happy that she's included in this group. It's when there are athletes that historically compete on a team and decide to make a kind of a push for an individual season, it's nice to see a little bit from them in the off season so that we can have some kind of reference point and some things to kind of frame where they might fall. Kelsey will certainly be within the top 200 in the world on the rankings, but quite frankly, she's an athlete that I'm not sure individually where she stacks up against, someone like Ella Vunger if they were to compete against each other. So very excited to have her as part of it. And yeah, once again, it's the cool thing about these teams is you could kind of envision partnerships, right? Oh, what if Jack and Kelsey get the chance to lift?
It'd be crazy.
Mm-hmm. That's going to be it's tough to beat. What if, Yella and Alex have to pull some sleds and sandbags? That's going to be pretty tough to beat. Those are both very impressive athletes with odd object displacement. So, there's definitely every team has some elements of that. And I'm hopeful that the programming does have some where it's an opportunity for each athlete to do something on their own, male, female partners, maybe all three men do something, all three women do something, and then hopefully maybe an event where it's the whole team. That kind of format would be cool.
Or even women versus men. Think about a gymnastics challenge between Pat Vellner and Danielle Brandon. That'd be so fun.
That would be actually super cool because, even if you we know that they did the same workout at the games, the inverted medley, but they did them at separate times. And that would be so, that would be so cool if and I'm just thinking about something that's not really related to this, but if you had you think about if inverted medley was stripped down to a format that was less, not so long, maybe it was a 30-second or 45-second expression, and then they all did it, all the men and all the women did it, and then you had the top, kind of like they did with the open that one, you had the top 2 men and top 2 women go, the final heat was the best of the best, and you get to actually see them go against each other. That would be pretty fun.
See, you're geeking out about the same things as I am because I'm thinking in my mind, what would be the coolest race? And I'm putting these people against each other. I'm thinking, oh my goodness, the possibilities.
Inverted
Andrew.
The melody.
And so
I like how Andrew pops up over my picture. Here we go.
I think this shot of Andrew might have been the inspiration for the AI to create the B.Friendly logo that Wad Zombie put out yesterday.
That was cool. I liked those.
Very aggressive. Very aggressive. Very vascular too.
Very. Fluffy Dog was the cutest. I'll say that. It was adorable.
The one thing though, with this competition being in the UK in December, it's probably safe to say that most of these, if they're going to, again, it's a showcase, everything's going to be indoors.
Yes.
So you're not going to see a running event. Probably not. It's hard to throw a team. Pardon?
But what if you did? High Rocks runs inside. They're running 1K laps around the venue. It's possible. Yeah.
It's possible, but again, logistics, obviously plays a big part in this, but you throw something like that. What does that do for an athlete like Hosta, who's known for that? It pretty much kind of isolates what he's capable of doing. Now don't get me wrong, he's obviously a really good CrossFitter in general, but then I just don't know if this type of competition plays into someone of Hosta's strengths.
Yeah, I think I think that what we're likely going to see is to have everyone will have a chance to shine.
Yeah, I hope
more so than anything else. And we did actually we've been doing some fun analysis. Barkley and then La Perf, who we've been working with over in France on the different teams. And he put up a little study today, actually, that shows in weightlifting, which is like the easiest stuff for us to pull. If we took a look at the team's cumulative clean and jerk, snatch, and deadlift. So we pulled these. That was like the raw data, and then he put it.
I love this.
1 second. There it is. I swear it's coming up. There it is.
Yeah, so there's some of the raw data that he pulled, and then he put it into a graphical representation on Instagram that he likes to do. I know some of you guys have been starting to interact with those a little bit, but it's obviously easiest to do it with weightlifting compared to some of the other stuff. But in the when we were pulling the data, we found out that there were some movement strengths for each of these teams. So in the case of Team Lawson, the two things they would like to see the most: ring muscle ups and echo bike, where they showed the biggest proficiencies. For Daniel Brandon's team, it was handstand walking that they would like to see the most, and curiously enough, handstand push-ups that they'd like to see the least. 4 athletes on their team score relatively poorly on handstand push-ups. And then for the Team Wunger, here's something that could be beneficial we talked about is the displacement of objects, specifically sandbags and carrying objects was something that they scored really well on. But yeah, this is the post I was talking about. So we put snatch, clean and jerk, and deadlift because they're the only ones we were able to find information on. And you can kind of see there, if a snatch shows up, that would probably be the most competitive of those 3 things for these groups of athletes. And even though there is that one team that has quote unquote bias towards weightlifting, when it came to the snatch, it was less relevant than the other 2.
I mean, that's fair if we're looking at, average numbers of lifts across the field. You're seeing fewer and fewer athletes that are really standalones in terms of how heavy they can snatch a barbell.
Mm-hmm.
Very few athletes are snatching over 300. Very few women are snatching over 205. So to say that would be the most competitive, that to me makes a ton of sense. I think you'll see the most variety in a clean and jerk, but I also think a lot of the athletes on each of these teams have very similar maxes that we've seen. So if someone is going to do something crazy, they would have the opportunity to do it there if that's what we saw.
And we talked about it after Rogue, is that the deadlift was something that we didn't have a ton of data on. Well, 10 of these athletes deadlifted at Rogue. Of course, both Vellner and Gazan did exceptionally well. So no surprise being on the same team that they're pulling that deadlifting number way to the left relative to the other athletes there. But these are kind of cool little things and fun things to look at. Obviously, once it comes to competition time, none of those things necessarily matter, but they can kind of start maybe getting us excited. And who knows, if the competition organizers are looking at some of this stuff, they have free reign there, and there's no prize money for the athletes. Like, they've already agreed to come whatever those agreements were. So they can certainly have fun with this and potentially program things that are gonna produce either exciting competitions, outstanding performances, or some variety combination of those things.
Absolutely. I'm hoping we just see bicep curls for time. So that's all I'm see.
That'll be open workout 24.2.
I would love that. You can't tell me that you wouldn't. I would love that.
Oh, I'm doing that all day with the 35.
Yeah, let's go.
My money's on Bella.
Thanks.
I thought I was the Braun though, Brian.
Deadlifting, I'll take you for deadlifting.
Yeah,
Okay.
you can.
I am a deadlifter. I'm no Andrew Hiller, him putting up 600.
Jesus,
but
wasn't it 615? I mean, that was crazy.
Something like that. But he had straps on, so I'm gonna call it. No, I'm just kidding. I was gonna call him out for straps, but it's all good.
You can have it.
I would say let's see you do it with straps, but I want you to be healthy. So don't deadlift over. No deadlifting over 400 pounds for you, Patrick.
Yeah, especially after, yeah. Doesn't get easier as you get older. Oh.
So we'll see if FitFest. I'll be curious to know if they do put out any of their programming stuff ahead of time. I think it would be cool to maybe at least advertise the structure, and then I still don't know if there's going to be like what kind of a way there will be to potentially watch it while it's going on. So still kind of waiting to see some of those things, but I do think it'll be a fun experience for the athletes, and I'm hopeful that we can talk to a couple of them after the fact and see what it was like, because it's a different. I mean, the athletes generally have fun when there are these team competitions, and we saw tons of them compete at Wodapalooza on this kind of team environments over the last couple of years. This is a little different with the showcase style, the draft, and kind of an unknown format of showcase rather than competition. So hopefully be getting some more information in the next couple of weeks. And then, like I said, if you guys are around that part of the world, this could be a cool thing to be at.
Yeah, if I was over there, I'd go. Easy.
If I wasn't already working in Dubai, I would absolutely not miss this one.
You're on the wrong side of the world.
Yeah.
Oh. PC.
What's up?
Anything else on the agenda for today?
Me personally, I'm gonna go on a walk. No, I'm trying to keep you guys on. It's always great to come on and hang out with my friends here. But no, in the CrossFit world, I mean, obviously tomorrow's a big day. I guess in terms of news for CrossFit, he did say in I don't know if you watched the weekend review or watched Sevon's review of the weekend review. Either one of those. One's 20 minutes, the other one can end up being an hour and a half. But he did mention that the rule book has not come out yet. So I don't know what your guys' feelings on that is in terms of the rule book. But obviously you don't put out the rule book unless you put out this information. So, I mean, just your general thoughts, not having a rule book going into mid-November, what's that say for the season, or what are your thoughts on that?
You need a rule book before you can put dates out. That's the thing. If you're going to put dates out, you have to have the rule book. Athletes deserve to know what they can and cannot do and how it has to look. If we can't have that, then we have no expectation on any sort of uniformity for anything.
Well, I don't know. I think that the most important thing that people want to know are the dates. And I know that in some cases, specifically probably for live semifinals, the challenge with that can be venues and making sure that you have the venues that you want on the weeks that you want in the parts of the world that you want. And so I could potentially understand the live semifinals being missing from a calendar. Outside of that, I think everything else is online. And then we obviously already have the games for the elite divisions, but people who are big time CrossFit fans, they plan vacation days, they plan PTO, they plan their travel based on the biggest competitions that are known. And I think that it should be a goal of, and when sometimes it's when not to travel. I don't want to be gone during the Open. What if the Open's the first 3 weeks of February, or it's the middle 3 weeks, or it's expanding February, March, or it's maybe they move it to April? Like, those things matter to the hundreds of thousands of people that want to do the Open, and potentially the quarterfinals and the semifinals. And so I think that it would be best to have the schedule out as early as possible, specifically for the online types of the season. And if you can get the live person, even better. Because we've talked about it before, but if the games are now going to consist of 4 different things, the Elite CrossFit Games, the Masters Legends Games, the Pit Team Throwdown Games, the Wheelwad Adaptive Games, that's 4 weekends worth of judges. That's 4 weekends worth of volunteers, 4 weekends worth of media. Forget the athletes. There's athletes everywhere. There's people who compete. That's not the problem. But you need every single competition that you go to, Bella. What does the competition director say? Thank the volunteers. This would not happen without them. And that's a huge, huge part of running a CrossFit competition. And if you're introducing 3 new CrossFit Games weekends, we need to know when those are, because there are a lot of other events that could potentially be jeopardizing their ability to get the volunteers, judges, media, etc., that they're used to having at that time of year, because suddenly there's another big event in their part of the world, or that's drawing those, the best of those people that they might usually have access to. The rule book, in my opinion, it's the historically the rule book comes out, and then there's a version 2 and a version 3 and a version 8 and a version 13 and 15 and 18 some years. And like that to me is frustrating and confusing. And I can understand that there are things that need to be updated potentially, but I think that the rule book should come out at the same time every year. So I don't care when that is. To me, December 1st or January 1st makes sense as good times to have the rule book out, and it should include things that allow for consistency and predictability, like Bella was talking about. I'm not asking for every movement to be in there, but I am asking for the movements that are in there, like every year, like a burpee, that we can just know. This is if part of the CrossFit Games season this year, if a burpee is going to show up, these are the standards. Because, it's basically, the idea is with all of this is to get ahead of the problem before it's a problem. And what we can look back now on the, decade plus that we've had the Open, and this season that's, relatively similar to what it's been for most of that time period. And we've made tons of mistakes, which is okay. You got to make those along the way, but we can't keep making the same mistakes. So we can't have movements that are showing up for thousands, tens of thousands, 100,000 people to do where it's an unclear standard. Like we have to be past that. And can they just release amendments? Yeah, that would be a great idea, Cave, is to have up when the rule book is amended, that there's a hopper email that goes out that says,
Yes.
hey, these are the sections of the rule book that have been amended this week, this month, whatever it is. Make sure you check those out. There's relevant information. Maybe you could even copy and paste some of them in there for a full breakdown of the rule book. Go over here. I love that idea. Because what happens basically is that the rule book gets updated, and unless you or someone that is checking and updating and refreshing that page every day, you're not going to know. So
I believe 2021 there was 12 versions of the rule book, and we didn't know anything about any of the changes.
Yeah. So those are, simple things. We hear Dave say that they can be better in terms of communication. That's great. We all agree. Let's see it happen. And so I think that, there's people that are being very critical of a lot of the decisions that are being made at CrossFit right now in terms of personnel, in terms of the timing of releasing information. And CrossFit, in my opinion, is still in a great opportunity to kind of put all those people to rest, but they need to take action. Like Cave Dasher, talk is cheap. Let's see it in action. What these people, the community wants. You say that you have the biggest microphone, the biggest voice, the biggest ability to impact change, and the desire to do it. Most of the people that are criticizing what's not going well are looking for the same things that you say that you want. So can we maybe work together and get some action to back up the things that are being said?
Yeah, I think everyone this year they're all down for change. Everyone's okay with, the season's going to look different. There's going to be new things happening, but let's just talk about it. I'll give you the time. I'll give you the space to make mistakes and do what you need to do, but let's communicate through it so that everyone's on the same page. That's all I want.
Fair enough. Dave, if you're listening to this, which I'm pretty sure he is, boom. What we're also starting to see in CrossFit news is Wodapalooza is putting their roster out. We talked to Travis Mayer last week, and he announced his team, and we're seeing some of the teams come out, and it's great to see. But then now Wodapalooza is they're releasing their individual athletes. Last week, I believe a couple days of Ricky Gerard, and we got Ariel. Believe this is her first time competing as an individual at Wodapalooza. If I'm correct.
Let's check to be sure.
Yeah.
Nope. She was third place in 2022.
That's what I meant, of course. But I'm really excited about this. Another thing that Wodapalooza announced is, and they kind of had hints of this last year, and I think we discussed it a little bit last year, is the MIA Classic. So South Florida's original weightlifting meet running in sync with Wodapalooza. Highlights include catching up with national ollie lifters, must-see seminars, top vendors of space, and loads more. Your thoughts on including this or bringing it back, the whole Olympic lifting and, this basically showcase.
I love it.
It's not actually a showcase, it's actual competition.
I love it. I think bring it. If this is going to be a fitness festival, bring weightlifting. Let's do it. Also, it's a great opportunity for CrossFitters to see how weightlifting is supposed to look on a actual floor. I think CrossFitters that have never been kind of trained in, oh, this is actually how snatch looks. These are the technicalities of a proper snatch. Look at what happens if you press out at the bottom. You're not going to get that lift. In CrossFit, it counts. And people always joke about that. Oh, yeah, it counts in CrossFit. But I think it's really cool to show them, hey, this is where we got this from, and this is how it actually looks in something that is not as loose as CrossFit.
They get massages right before they work out in weightlifting?
Yep.
No, actually, it's normally slaps. It's normally like a slap to the face, slap to the shoulders. Doesn't feel so good. I don't know why they're smiling.
Slap to the face? Oh, you got to sign up for it, Bella. You can get a punch to the face maybe too.
Maybe I should compete. Maybe when I'm not on the floor announcing, I will compete in the classic just to get slapped in the face. Let's go.
A few years ago, I think it was either 2019 or 20. They had the WZA Strong competition for the first year, and they had the weightlifting face-off where they used the Sinclair totals to kind of well, it was meant to offset the body weight, but it turned out that was just a massive advantage for my Matt Rattay, and he dominated the entire field. But
Mighty
it was
Mouse.
cool. It was cool to have some different kind of elements of fitness as part of that event. They did that WZA Strong 2 times. I wish they'd never gotten rid of it. I really liked it, but I don't think it was getting as much traction otherwise. And so they bring back the MIA Classic, have another competition kind of going on at the same time as this. So, Wodapalooza is always kind of looking to make the most of that weekend for everyone who's there. And so this could be potentially another thing, like Bella was saying, for athletes and fans to appreciate. And I say athletes because there's going to be thousands of people competing there, and they won't be competing all day. For people that are working at Wodapalooza, they're super long days, but the athletes have maybe an hour here and an hour there that they really have to be focused in, so they can potentially wander around and check some of that out.
Yeah.
One thing I would like to see Wodapalooza incorporate, and I'm pretty sure maybe it's in the plans in a couple years, is actually like a bodybuilding, at some point. Because I think, obviously coming off the weekend that we just had with Mr. Olympia, it brings in another segmentation of fitness to Miami. And like Brian says, if you truly are going to pass yourself off as a fitness festival, why not include that? And it's Miami. So you're going to have, Miami in January, plenty of people come down and compete in something like that. And that's something you could just do that on one night, maybe like a Thursday night or something like that. I don't know. Odd says, go to a Gold's Gym already.
I mean, let's bring Sebum out. Let's put him on the
Exactly
their stage. Here you go.
Yeah.
You can perform here. I think that'd be awesome. I mean, if it's going to be
Brian's muted.
Bella, have you met him?
No, I would love to. I bet he's awesome.
Yeah, that's what I've heard too.
Yeah. I mean, obviously we know some people in the space that shoot for him and provide content. Carly does such an amazing job with just catching like behind the scenes. And I know Hiller's a big fan. I think Hiller put something up, but hearing his speech after he won, it just seems like a very just normal guy who just happens to do amazing things. And you could definitely hear the struggles he went through, because that's the thing, is like a lot of people think they're just lifting weights and cutting weight, but there's a lot of struggle with that to be an athlete of that caliber.
Yeah, and I think that's timely with things that CrossFit athletes are starting to feel more comfortable talking about too. Is, hey, my mental health sometimes struggles within the season, or hey, it's actually I'm not doing well now at all. I'm going to take an entire season off. It's completely okay. It's completely respected. Nobody will say anything if you have to take a step back for yourself. And it's really, I think it's amazing to see athletes that are actually truly at the top of their field being able to say, hey, I get where you're coming from and I'm pushed through it, but maybe, not everybody can. Not everybody should either. But it's really cool to see that. I agree with you.
Another thing that came out is Dubai starting to, on top of rolling out the athletes they're having, they're releasing some workouts as well. And kind of want to get your thoughts on the 2 workouts they've released.
I think
so
there's
far.
3. I think there are 3 now, because I
3?
think they
Okay.
announced another one today.
Oh, okay.
I think
Well,
so. Yeah, because there was the original, there was the 10
Event 4.
rounder.
Yep, the Iman. You're right. So they've released Event 3. Let's look at Event 3 first.
Yeah, and I mean,
Altitude and attitude.
last year I was in Dubai. HWPO was involved with the programming there. They went to a new venue, and I know that there were a lot of people that, just for the totality of the experience on site last year, they felt like it wasn't up to the caliber that they're used to getting at Dubai, especially the more experienced athletes the ones who've been to Dubai previously. The Dubai Fitness Championship team has kind of reverted back to the practices that they always have done before. So I believe Saud is taking the lead when it comes to the programming and, consulting with the group of people that he always has in terms of testing and whatever. They're going back to the tennis stadium. I think they're just basically reverting back to what they know. And my expectation in the preparations that I've been doing is that this year's Dubai is going to have much more of the feel of the 17, 18, 19 Dubai that all the athletes really loved about this competition. So the programming is probably going to look more familiar to people who were fans of Dubai 5-6 years ago. And sure enough, right off the bat, we have a 10-round workout, which they're well known for programming 10 rounders there that are like, the rounds themselves are fairly quick. And then it's just this kind of it's like an open style workout, but with high level skills.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And we don't know the height or the weight of those wall balls. No, in Dubai, they could probably set it. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw 35-pound and 25-pound for men and women, but
that would be a lot.
Yeah,
it would be, but it is Dubai.
I mean, that workout, if you're looking at it, you're going unbroken the whole time. It's fast. They'll probably have to move, a chess piece down the field so you know which round they're on. It's going to be a sprint, which I love. I mean, I can't wait to watch the live stream. And
that's that one. Forearms are going to be burning after that. I can see some people fail, taking their time those last few rounds on a legless rope climb because, I mean, that's 350 heavy double unders. So it's going to be a spicy one.
Yeah, absolutely. The grip can get a little bit taxed, and you might see a very different expression from like the top of the women's field to the bottom of the women's field on that one specifically. But on the men's side, I think that for a 10-round workout for an elite level competition, it's still going to be a race deep into that workout.
Mm-hmm. Event 6, the DFC Original Challenge. What we see here is a Dubai classic movement, the A jumps. And the
more than one, yes,
and the single arm devil's press. I mean, we got 3. Yeah, like wow. It's almost
I believe it's been close to 10 years since they first programmed a devil's press. There's still really many other competitions who do those. Dubai, Wodapalooza has had them more recently. But the A jumps and the deck squats, super, super unique, if not exclusive to high level competition when it comes to Dubai. 2019 had both of those in what was called, it might have been the DFC Original or the DFC Classic or something like that year. They also had a supinated grip chest to bar pull-up, which doesn't show up this year. I would say the strangest thing about this whole workout to me is the 10 bar muscle-ups in the middle. Like, there seems like irrelevant.
Ooh, that must come down. You need something in the middle where once you go up, you got to go back down. There's got to be a point somewhere.
Yeah, and just like from a time perspective, I think about how good these athletes are. The deck squat, you got to get on the ground, get back up for 40 of those. The single arm devil's press, got to get on the ground, got to get up. The A jumps, the machines are unknown what those machines are. They could be the same, could be different, could be a combination. But the bar muscle ups is like kind of a strange one to me in the middle of this. But other than that, very classic DFC programming. And, like I said, a lot of these athletes have been at Dubai before, so they won't be surprised to see these types of things show up in the programming.
Yeah, I think it'd be great.
And then the one they released today, you said the alternating Imam.
Sponsored by Imam Company, so of course they have to gotta get an Imam style in there. Tons of questions remain to be answered here. How is it going to be scored? Is there a time component for the toes to bar on the bike? Is that just a buy-in? Are the front squats changing in weights as we go? Is there any way to, they said something, a strategic rest. I don't know what that means. If there's a way you can kind of plan your rest or not, but a potentially very fun format for an event. Just need to have some of the details filled in.
Yeah. I want to know how heavy that bar is.
Or is it get heavier as you go? Like that, that could be
It's
something where like the toes to bar on the bike are static and maybe there's 5 barbells. Or is it 15-minute alternating EMOM? Minute 4 is rest. So I guess it would be, the 16th. So it's 4 rounds. The 16th minute is just it's the end of the workout. And so maybe there would be 4 barbells at different weights. I don't know. But
yeah,
that's the three that we know so far.
I love it. I hope it goes from like 155 for the girls, 155, 175. And we keep getting heavier and heavier, because then you'll see that challenge of if athletes can actually clean it from the floor or not. I hope you have to come with that.
That's directed to me.
That again.
That's directed to me.
Oh my goodness. You did that. I didn't do it. I didn't do it.
Yeah.
That was
not by
crazy.
choice. I didn't do it by choice, Bella. I got locked in the hallway, and the only way I could have got out is either go up or down. So
I remember the reaction, the emotional reactions of all of the athletes once they were finished, because it was a blend of, oh my goodness, my body hurts so bad. It was, we've been in a stairwell for 30 minutes. Where am I? I'm terrified of heights. Please get me out of here. It was ridiculous. It was so emotional, so over the top, crazy. So I'm hoping, I'm excited for them to release, or at least start teasing what that first one will be for them. Because if last year they're climbing to the top of the Burj Khalifa, who knows what they're doing this time? Brian's
it was like half and half, because there were some that were just, they did like 30-minute photo shoot while they're up there, and then the other half was like, we need to get down. Yes. I remember coming up through that gateway, or the back staircase, and Brian's laughing because I can only imagine what I look like, but I remember Fraser goes, what'd you do? Where'd you come from? I'm like, I just climbed up all these freaking stairs.
But we basically, Patrick was able to get dropped off 2/3 or 3/4 of the way up somewhere with his camera gear to get some footage and take some stuff. There was like specific spots that they were allowing some media to be. And, like he said, he had one option. And we're up at the top. We're like tracking times. We're doing some stuff on Instagram to inform people of what's going on. And, next thing I know, here comes Patrick. And it looked like he just came out of a 2-day wilderness trek.
I felt like it.
You're not.
It was like, what the heck just happened? Fraser was like that. It's like, what the heck happened to you, man? And he's like, I was stuck in the stairs. I had to get out some way, so up seemed closer than down.
It was
looking for sugar cubes for the athletes. Like, they're on the floor. Like, oh my goodness, someone get them water. And then there's Pat. Just, what's up, guys?
Yeah. And the thing is, like, they had weighted vests. I had 60 pounds of camera equipment.
Same thing.
Yeah, the same thing. Yeah, same thing. But they're world-class athletes, and I'm PC, so it's But no, like you said, Bella, I'm interested. Obviously that first event, Dubai always makes it a spectacle, and they always make it fun, whether it be freaking inside snowboard or ski park in a mall or something like that. But it looks like they're kind of doing throwback and not just speculating. I wouldn't be surprised if they're back in the water, back in a golf, something swimming. I wouldn't be surprised seeing like a triathlon, the Dubai version of it. Just my thoughts and what I would love to see. Who knows what goes on in the mine of Saud? That guy is he's a genius when it comes to stuff like that. He always does a good job of showing off his country, his culture to the world and to the athletes. He does a really good job of making a spectacle.
Yeah.
I didn't know we were going to be talking about Dubai today, Patrick. You could have prepped some pictures from last year when we were all there.
We were so cute last year.
No, I'm good.
I don't even have any of them anymore. I just have
I'm
a
good.
picture of you.
I
And
mean, the last
Derek
day when we
cuddling on
all
the couch.
Oh, geez. There's so many. That was a fun trip, especially that last day when we all went out to the desert.
That was fun. The belly dancing show. That was fun.
I thought us being in that vehicle, I thought we are all gonna die
I think we all thought we were gonna die.
in the sand dunes. Oh,
yeah, that's good.
Something else. But we'll have to plan another trip like that, another location. Maybe you can host us in Oceania sometime. Corian, let's make it happen.
Let's go.
Yeah. That's basically all I got in terms of news. Obviously, there's a lot of stuff coming out. Again, Brian, you're leaving Thursday, I guess, to go to the desert in Tempe, good old Tempe, Arizona. And then it's so funny. It's at Arizona State, and last night while I was working, I had Ted 2 on. If you guys don't remember what Ted is, it's the teddy bear. And I guess they crack all these jokes about Arizona State during it, and I forgot about it. It just it just had me laughing. And I've actually been like texting some people that are competing there about like Arizona State, and it's just just kind of funny. But watch the movie. I'm not going to repeat it here. Watch the movie if you want to get those references. And Bella, you leave next week?
Yeah, so I'll go to Germany. I believe it's next Wednesday.
Next Wednesday, staying at the Super 8. Got it.
Yeah, they sent me the address, and my Google Map said this is too far away for you to get to. So I'll figure out where I am once I get there.
If anyone is going to be out in Arizona for Desert City Classic, Sherpa Works is going out there. We'll have some of the newest B.Friendly merchandise. He'll have the OG stuff and the Desert City stuff that he's producing as well. He's also going to be back on the East Coast with me the weekend after that for Charlotte Classic. We'll have some other stuff here. If you're at either of those parts of the country and can stop by, check his stuff out, of course. But otherwise, just come say hi if you see me. Don't be shy or hesitant about that. I always love meeting you guys. Oh, man.
What's this in reference to?
He's probably just starting
Ted,
the beginning.
Ted. Yes, Ted. That's what it is. So Barkley got it. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'll be on the lookout for the cornrows and the pride flag.
You got to meet Cave. How good.
So I'll know exactly who he is.
Mm-hmm.
And then just appreciate the support. Thank you guys for watching. We got next week should be coming out with top 200 men in the world. The week after that, top 200 women in the world. We have Alex Kazan coming on tomorrow. We've got a kind of a cool thing going on with her. So if you're around tomorrow, come and check that out. PC, what am I missing?
I think that's better. You mentioned Alex. We'll also talk about some of the breaking news tomorrow regarding the season. So we'll have a chance to chat about that. Trying to bring on another guest tomorrow for a good 10 minutes. I just need to coordinate that with him. One thing me and Brian, and I'm sure Bella agrees with this too, is like we try to, there's a lot of great people in the community are doing great things for the community, whether it be through nonprofits or raising money or raising awareness for, there's a lot of them out there. And Brian and myself, we try to find stuff that align with our values and and what we believe in. And we won't happen every week, but we're those people that's they seek us out because they feel like they align with us, and we want to recognize them and help them out and help promote their event when it comes to stuff like that, whether it be a fundraiser or just bringing awareness to what they're doing out in the community. So hopefully we can get that person on tomorrow and talk to him and help him out and help his organization out as well. So that's part of being part of the B.Friendly crew. Being friends with us is that. Trying to think if there's anything else. Bella, when do you leave next week?
Next Wednesday.
Next Wednesday?
Yeah, so if anybody's in Germany, let's go get a beer.
Maybe we'll try to get you on next week as well. We need to send her some merch too.
Easy,
She's got some stuff.
Yeah, my shirt is in one of my boxes now somewhere in my move with all the rest of my clothes.
Yeah.
This
But
thing
like
would-
Brian, but like Brian says, Ken will be out there. We'll have all our World Tour stuff out there. So yeah, that's a good way to support us. Also supporting us on our Patreon, or it's as simple as following, liking, and subscribing to our channels and our other social media channels, including our newsletter, which we'll have more details on tomorrow. But besides that, Veterans Day this weekend. So if you're a veteran listening, get your free haircut at Great Clips and get your free meal at Texas Roadhouse. I believe it's Texas Roadhouse. But anyways, if you're a veteran out there, from one veteran to another, or a person that supports a veteran, thank you for everything you do. Our country's founded on veterans, and they're the backbone of our country when it comes to defending our country. So I'm looking forward to that. Brian, you don't have any college football games you're going to this weekend, right?
Nope, just Desert City Classic.
Yeah. Bella, was that your first major like college football game you attended?
No. I mean, I lived in Austin. I went to several
Gotcha,
BUT games,
games.
including some
Gotcha.
big ones. I've gone to Wisconsin, Michigan games. I've gone to some Cornhusker black shirt games back in the days. I've been to some, but it's been a while.
I love me some college football. I won't do anything. Let's go to a college football game on Saturday.
Yeah. I might.
All of the guys who thought you were cute before, Bella, you just raised the bar tenfold.
I know. If I
get back on the show, I can't.
Everyone keeps on asking me, and I don't know. I might do it next week. They keep on asking me, "Is Bella single? Is Bella single?" I'm like, whatever. She'll determine. She'll answer that. I'm not going to answer that for her.
No, I am. Thanks, guys. We've made it an hour and 20 minutes in. Yes.
You're right. I almost let off.
That's going to change. Then you have to get the approval from our big brothers. That's us.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Exactly. But yeah, I might go to. There's a Mizzou football game this weekend. I might go to that. I think they're playing Tennessee, so it's 2 top 20 teams playing each other. So I might do that. But besides that, yeah, that's all I got. So on behalf of Bella and Brian, the beauty and the brains, the bronze says, "Be friendly, our friends as always."